Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione. This is season number 6 and race number 4, if I am not mistaken. My name is Alex and I'm very happy to welcome you here on Bathurst. Now in a rainy free practice session, and Cassetteras already hit the wall a little bit here. But maybe now when he returns to the pits we'll be able to see all the cars standing in the pits. There's already Brunil flashing the lights, if I'm not mistaken. He might have a look at the stream as well. If there's a viewer there already that could check the audio level later, I'd be very happy about that. But for now, let's head over to the standings, and hopefully when we return, maybe the track will not be as rainy. Today's race will be a 90 minutes race, and let's head over to the standings. So at the moment, alright, yeah, wonderful. This is the right season also. So in P1 at the moment we have Konchik. I think it's Konchik. I'm not too sure actually. This is a name that I just spotted right now. In P2 we have Veldman, then Nikolai Dosh in P3, Dario Brems in P4, and just as a hint, the qualifying session is also raining. I already see that on a secondary screen, so 90 minutes in Australia with the rain is going to be quite interesting. Or at least it's going to be interesting because the qualifying session has rain in it. That does not necessarily mean that the race will also have it. So in P5 we have Adrian Marcinak, then Adam Sharpie, Horacio Messina in P7, Matis Heilemann, Federico Calgaro, Andre Batek in P10. I think I've seen him on the server already. He has not taken part in the last races, but he will be there today. Amir Cassetteras, the same first race for him. This season, Stu Rogers apparently has changed the car, yeah. So for the AM drivers that are on the same server and will also be racing the same race, not the same race, but will be on the same track as the pro drivers. We have Simone Messina in P1, Luca Garozzo in P2, Eric Griffith in... the German is again struggling with the TH, so Eric Griffith in P3, Marinko Rok Pavlovic in P4, Marek Sperry in P5, Salvatore Francavilla in P6, Jason Yanis in P7, Giuseppe Messina, if I am not mistaken, the brother of Simone Messina, but I'll have to double check that later, in P8. Tom Brunil taking part again in P9. Max Hardy in P10. Here, French was never my strong. Kajux, not sure about that, in P11. Stephen Hollard in P12. Grigori Lobianco in 13, and then Alberico de Tombolis in P14, and then for the rest there's not still Supernatural in P15 for now. Casieux is what Tom is writing in the chat. Let's head back to the main screen and take a look at the qualifying of the amateur drivers. No, this is going to be enough. I think I've not been streaming for quite a while, and I hope that everything is going smooth today. But I think it should. I would not know why it shouldn't, because I have not really changed anything about the setup. So for the qualifying, we don't have a current valid lap time. Generally speaking, on Bathurst, if you mess up, you end up in the wall. So, I mean, I don't know many places where you can get a cut or something like this. Usually Usually if you get a cut, that's a drive-through or return to pits. So I'm quite excited for this 90 minutes. I'm also gonna give you the ending. I don't know. What is it called? It is called, let's say it's just, have to find the shortcut. Control insert, by the way. Oh. So now on the left side of your screen, you can also see all the drivers that are on track 18 at the moment, and you can see the red drivers that are the red number plates that are the M drivers, and the white ones that are the pro drivers. Just so you know, Carrozzo just set a first lap, which is a 2 minutes 10 and a 2 minutes 9, so I would say roughly 8 seconds slower than if we would have the dry temperatures, if I remember correctly. I'm not. Yeah, I think like the below 2 minutes times. I've only seen them with the pros. So then there's also Calzeux with a quick lap, 2 minutes 8. I think the attendance of the race might be a little bit lower because, as I said before, it's a very tricky track, and if you crash, you're usually quite broken afterwards, and it takes a lot of practice to be very quick on this track. Let's take a look at Francavilla here, coming into Skyline and into the SS. Currently almost with a second of delta. I think I unfortunately have to lower the game audio a little bit, but it also lowers it for you. So in case you want to hear the cars a bit louder, let me know, but otherwise I'll get a headache here. Yeah, Francavilla definitely looks like a second at the moment. More than a second now into the chase. The chase, this last little chicane on the straight was added in 1987 for safety. Yeah, and that's P3 for Francavilla. Now who else is out? Jack Barnett is also there. Still at the beginning of the lap, so a lot can happen. Oh. A bit of confusion there in the qualifying lap. And that definitely costs a lot of time. There's 4 more minutes, so in total there's 12 minutes of time for the M drivers to qualify, and then there's 12 minutes for the pro drivers. So at least the 2 drivers still have a chance for another lap. So Brunel is still looking to get a lap time in. Now actually starting his first lap, now also finishing his first lap and qualifying in P7. It just looked a little bit like the beginning of the track and not the end there. Sorry for that. And then there's Supernatural, also taking part in this race. Supernatural obviously is a bit of an anonymous name. Who knows who's hiding behind that? let's see someone. Let's look at someone. And with Messina, there's still time for improvement, but the lap is shown as invalid here. Now I don't know. I think it should be the lap before because it says a 4 minutes 30 running time. We're gonna come back to that in a second because also Brunel is looking. It's almost a second of improvement. No. He actually lost it in the moment that I say it. Maybe now going into the dipper, him finding it again. Into Foster's elbow. And now heading out on Conrad Strait. Conrad Strait because the Australians are funny. Basically that's where the Conrads fly. Where they fly out of the engine because you go full throttle down the hill. Generally some of the corner names maybe in the course of the race. I will have time to explain the names, or at least from some of the names I know the origin. Messina now. Messina just came in with a strong second sector, but it was not enough to improve his lap time overall. There's a 10th separating him from Cajou. Messina in the last lap, strongest first sector. That's actually where the 10th is coming from. Everything else is almost the same. In the second sector, Cajou is a bit quicker. Sliding around the corner here. Yeah, very difficult to negotiate the track here in the wet conditions. Cajou is just coming in, and it looks like another improvement of his time. So now the gap to Messina is 4/10. Oh, that's super tight. That's super tight. 370 milliseconds on the clock, and it's 382 that are missing for P1 for Messina. So yeah, if there's not a massive mishap gonna happen here in that last corner, then it is gonna be P1 for him. Yeah, and it's a P1. No, what the hell happened there? What the hell happened there in the last corner? That is rather confusing to me because it showed an improvement of 4/10 and the gap of... Well, anyway, it's 10 milliseconds of a gap to P1 at the moment, so that is frustrating for Messina. Simone Messina, sorry, I have to be precise there. Because there's two Messinas. So the pros are already on track now. Let me try to find the one that is gonna set the first lap, and it is the... Oh, these are still the M drivers. 887. Also not. Look at the number one, Andrej Pacek. So if I did everything right, this is going to be the first lap time here, if the lap was valid. Ah, no, it wasn't. But still, for now, we're going to stay with him because he is the first driver on the track. Bumped my microphone, I'm sorry. There's also Rogers and the number 23, Marciniak, in the BMW here, with the glossy colors. Oh, what do you mean you couldn't hear your own car? Is it so loud? Or is my volume in general so loud? Maybe if it is too loud, let me know. Ah, it's your game that's quiet, okay. Yeah, but generally, generally it's also difficult to judge the volume of everything. I mean, I do a little recording every time, and then I listen to the recording, but that does not really mean, and this is how it also is in the stream. So, generally, when you are watching streamers, let them know if something is too quiet or something is too loud, because sometimes it's very difficult to judge. So now let's see. Patrick in the Lexus. Yeah, and that's a valid lap, 2 minutes 7.4, and Konchik behind him, 2 minutes 7.6. I was just checking something, but no change here. Ah, I didn't miss anything yet. 6 minutes 45 left of qualifying. See how things go. There's Assetto, the end of his lap, and what is the the famous camera of Bathurst, just showing some bushes. Marciniak just in P9 now, and Falgaro in P10. Assetto now into the chase. And also that was not a valid lap. So 4 pro drivers that have not set a valid lap at the moment. Stu Rogers jumping in P8. At the moment it still looks like rain, but let's see what the race settings will be, because I'm not sure if the qualifying session and the race session are technically even on the same day. No, I think they're not, so it can be completely different. Yeah. That's some damage for Rogers there, and 4/10 of lost time. And that was probably not worth continuing on. Is there's still 5 minutes left, there is a chance to get out and at least set one fresh lap. Assetto Rush now into the S's. Coming down this very tricky right, left, up, down. Oh, am I even going to describe the track there? It's right, left, up, down. This is what I'm gonna call it. It's the most stressy part. I mean, going up the hill is quite fine. Then when you're on top, you can find your flow. But especially after Skyline, going down into the SS and into the dipper is quite a tricky part. Generally not to unsettle the car and not to just crash into a barrier, because the barrier is always there and it's not your friend. So, you know, maybe Assetto Rush with a valid lap. Kind of looks like it. Yeah, Assetto Rush in P9 with 2 minutes 9. So I think it is already predictable. Dario Brems jumped into P3. Sorry for missing that. And then there's Mikolaj Dosh in P4 with a very green Ferrari. Green and purple Ferrari is like the warning colors. Different kind of warning colors from nature. Horacio Messina. Wait a second. Do we have 3 Messinas here? Yeah, we do. So we have Horacio Messina sitting in the pits, the pro driver that has not set the lap. We have Giuseppe Messina and Simone Messina. If I remember correctly, there was a family relationship between all of them. Not 100% sure, so maybe let me know if I'm wrong on this, in case you watch the stream later. But what I can see from the current lap times and from the current qualifying positions, 90 minutes of racing is going to be quite interesting, because basically the people that are in different classes, so the pro and the amateur drivers, they should not necessarily race each other, but now it is difficult to pass, and if you're quicker than the driver in front of you, you should pass him at some point. And let's say there should be some collaboration on the drivers or between the drivers to actually facilitate. Facilitate! What a nice word. Proper overtaking and safe overtaking. And that's Assetto Rush now gaining another 3 positions in the starting grid. So now he only has 2 AM drivers in front of him, which will make his job a bit easier. The last minute of qualifying. It's starting or it's running. Marciniak could still improve his time. Glossy boy here. But I've not seen a lot of people actually use this the paint color, the very reflective one. But I played a lot with the liveries, with the in-game liveries, so I know that this is either chrome or glossy, something like that. Yeah, but Marciniak might still gain 2 more positions, and then the last drivers out on track are Bacek still trying to improve his lap time because he's only... Yeah, and that's Marciniak in P10. There is only a 300th gap between Koncik and Bacek, so now basically it's the last chance for Koncik to improve his lap time, but at the moment he's 1/10 down with a... What is it? It's the Audi, yeah. I recognize that sound. I recognize the screaming sound of the Audi. Now in the last corner, now a positive delta. And I think it is not going to be enough. Oh, that was tight, almost unchanged though. Dario Brems with a yellow flag returning to pits, and then there is Dosh still out, but there's almost no chance of improvement because the gap is about 1 second, and I don't think that he is going to find 1 second in the last corner. Or that would be exceptionally surprising. That is an improvement of the time, but not really significant. All right, so the server is going to reset in a second, and then we're going to see the weather for the first time. We're going to see the weather for the race for the first time, and it is still raining. Session start is in 3 minutes, and what we can see on the top already is that just a second ago I swear there was a plus on the bottom, but it is going to get a bit less rain in 10 minutes and then even less rain in 30 minutes, but that's as far as the weather prognosis goes. We have 16 degrees outside temperature and a track temperature of 21 degrees. 19 minutes of racing here on Bathurst, organized by Formula Racing League. And let's see, do a little bit of a grid walk, and I'm going to close some tabs in the background because I know I'm not gonna open them. So we have Ondrej Bacek in P1, we have Damien Koncik in P2, Dario Brems in P3. I think a driver that I've also seen in a lot of the previous seasons. Now this is season number 6, so there have been a few. Nikolai Dosh, a new driver that I haven't seen before, in P4. That should be the green Ferrari with the, what do you call them, warning colors. Then we have Pierre Cajot, probably. I'm sorry for butchering the name in case. In P5, also the only AMG on track. Then Cajot is also starting in P1 for the M drivers. Then Simone Messina in P2 for the M drivers. Overall P6. Then Casseterash P7. Sorry, maybe from the helicam. Well, just follow along here. Casseterash, I think, in the Formula Racing League livery in the right column, 4th car. Then the black car next to him, slightly behind him, is Carrozzo. P3 for the M drivers. Then we have Marek Sperl from Czech Republic in P9. That is the BMW behind the Formula Racing League car. Then we have the glossy boy, sorry, the glossy car Adrian Marciniak in P10, and that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, P6 in the standing for the pro drivers. Then Figaro in P11. Then Francavilla in P12. That is a Ferrari there. Yes, it should be the white Ferrari. Stu Rogers in the Ford. Flashing the lights there. Number 512. Jack Barnett in P14, Tom Brunel in P15, then Giuseppe Messina in P16, and then one more driver, that is the Supernatural. It only says S point. Yeah, Messina is that car here, and then Supernatural, the driver here. Now we can see the cars heading up Mountain Straight for the first time, still warming up the tires, especially in the wet. I'll have to check something quickly, because I think during the 90 minutes race the refuel time is not fixed, which is something to be aware of, because you can, let's say, tactically, is it tactically or strategically? I think it's strategy. Yeah, strategically you can save some time there in the pit stops. So, and we have one driver starting from the pit, that is Horacio Messina, standing in the pits there all alone. Andrej Bacek in P1. I remember him as quite a strong driver in the past, so I'm quite excited to see what the result is, or what result we will gain today. And I saw a car also glitching in and out of the pits. I wonder what that is about. But now, when you can see the backlights of the cars flashing, that means the drivers are also heating up their brakes to get as much temperature as possible into the tires. As far as I can remember from my previous races on Assetto Corsa Competizione, the collisions are deactivated in the opening, in the warm-up lap, but the collisions with the scenery and with the walls are not. So you can still get some damage there. But from the corner of my eye, I just saw the two cars crashing into each other. They're glitching into each other, and I was a bit like, oh, we have the first. No, we did not have any crashes. And this Pirelli signs always confuse me. I have a friend that has a Pirelli cap, and I always see it as a Firelli. Regardless, the drivers. Oh. That is exactly what I meant before. Collisions are not disabled with the... Now, who was that? Difficult to tell, because they're not in the starting grid yet. Now they're in double file. Was that? No. That was Messina. Simone Messina. And we are getting ready for the start of this 90 minutes race organized by Formula Racing League on SimGrid. Feel free to join there and enjoy this racing. Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione is a weekly race. Next week we're going to be on Spa, but for now let's wait for the green lights and the beginning of the race. And there we go. So Bacek on the inside, and this is Messina already pulling through into one position, and there was a bit of a crash in the back. I can still see cars shuffling there. Messina definitely gained a position there, passing Dario Brems in the beginning. Kocic and Bacek here also close to each other. The first time going up the hill, and Kocic is taking the lead in the beginning of this race. there has been some shuffling in the backfield as well. A lot of little position changes, and there was a bigger crash. I think it was with either Marciniak or maybe even Brunel, but difficult to tell. I just saw it from the corner of my eye. Messina there boldly going 3 wide into the first corner. Cutting off Dario Brems from P3, who's now stuck behind the amateur driver, and let's hope that Simone Messina can keep up the pace or actually drive away. So far, the first time coming over the mountain. Oh, there is a car, and that is Bacek. Let's take a little look at the replay of the last 30 seconds. Now here over Skyline down into the S, is still tight behind Konchik, but now I see him in the pits. Yeah, there was a contact with the wall, not two contacts, 3 contact. Yeah, that is definitely, that's a return to pits, especially in that position where you cannot return. That is a pity, because I really wanted to see that fight. Now we're back in the real-time picture. There's yellow flags with Barnett and Brunel. Brunel also in the pits. Let's go back. I think it was for 15 seconds. That was a miscalculation there in the braking zone into Cops. Sorry, into the chase, excuse me. So both of the drivers still on track. Dario Brems at least slid 1 position up into P2 now in the standing of the pro drivers. Simone Messina still behind him, as in front of him, excuse me. Francavilla also putting some pressure on the this is Rogers, and Cajot trying to force his way through, and in front we have Francavilla putting pressure on Calgaro. Yes, the pro driver. So Brunel and Barnett have now rejoined the race in the back of the grid. And Dario Brems did pass Messina now here, because there's no point in fighting there. But Messina is tight on his toes for now. Also, then there's a bigger pack here. Francavilla behind Calgaro, and Stu Rogers and Cajot right behind them, followed by Marciniak. That is the glossy BMW, if I'm not mistaken, that you might see in the back of the picture there. Yeah, that's the group there. Cajot maybe going for the overtake now, just throwing himself in the mirror to put a bit of pressure. Durch Verstappen, yeah. Yeah, Durch here in the bright green car. Still tagging along half a second behind Messina. We are in lap number 3. There's already a 6-second gap to the leader. You can see on the left side of your screen between Konchik and Brems. Now we have to take a look at this gap here. generally in this uphill section, I have not seen many overtakes that went well, and now also with Marciniak, the gap already got bigger again. It was down to 1/10. Now maybe let's see if the attack comes on the straight with a better exit than Foster's elbow. Yeah, that does, at the moment it does not look like there's any attack. Take a look at Dosh here, hunting down the leading AM driver. Joe now managed to pass Rogers. Now we take another look at the group here. Now up the hill again and down the hill. This is how it's going to be for the rest of the 1 hour 20 here. Marciniak looking for the inside, but pulls out smartly. Casetarash passing Messina. Giuseppe Messina. I think that it was just a position exchange between the pro and the amateur class. Let's look at this tight grouping here and maybe go into the view. Here, even though this audio gets quite loud, but so you have a better idea of the conditions and of how tight it is. Oh, we have a crash from... That is just what I meant. But Casetarash in the back also crashed. Let's still take another look here because we were on the inside view. Too much on the inside curb there. Like one of these reaction videos, you know, the professional driver reacts to, yeah, well, he shouldn't have jumped the curb there, you know. Unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Gap between Dos and Messina also shrank. I think the drivers that just managed to keep it, let's say, crash free, have quite a good chance to have a stable position here and also maybe gain a few positions that they usually wouldn't. Horacio Messina is still in the pits there. You could see him on the corner of your screen for a second. I believe that he has I would guess he has technical difficulties because I thought he would at least start from the back of the grid from the pits, but apparently that is not the case. Rogers again with a crash, but crash with multiple consequences here as Marciniak and Sevilla are side by side. Unfortunate in the wet with aquaplaning and then coming back hitting Marciniak. So the three drivers now in the pits and another crash, which is, let's call it typical Bathurst online experience, I need to say, because I mean in real life there are a couple of proper crashes, but in the safety of the simulator it's always a bit more frantic. But Rogers here trying to bring the car back to the pits. There's not much traffic behind him, so that might actually be the quickest way. We can see Marciniak, Carrozzo, Casetarash. Yeah, these three drivers return to the pits. Rogers was still shown with a yellow flag here, but I missed it. Then we're gonna go back to Dosh and Messina here. because at the moment these are the only drivers that still have a proper gap, and it also looks like Dosh has now, Messina has now decided to just let him pass, because there is not much sense in fighting there, and maybe that gives Dosh a chance to close the 3.8 second gap towards Dario Brems in P2. Brunel and Barnett are out of the pits again. Both of them exactly in the position they were before the crash a few laps ago, or at least before both of them had to repair the car. I can imagine that Brunel is a bit eager on driving away here. And in the back, the car that you can see there is Supernatural, the anonymous driver, and Carazzo here also with a heavily damaged car, barely managing to keep it on the track. Gonna take another look at the conditions here. Very, very tricky section here through Reed Park, always close to the wall and always in danger with the curbs now into the S's and into the dipper here and down almost in the last corner, Foster's elbow, sorry, not Foster's elbow but Forrest's elbow, and now on the back straight, heading down to the chase. And we're going to take a look at the lap times in a second between the two drivers here. Messina is also returning a damaged car to the pits, limping back to the pits. Barnett almost side by side. Let's go into the helicom. Yes, manages to slide himself on the inside of Tom Brunel there. Plenty of space. Tight racing between the two there. It looked a little bit like Barnett was going to take a defensive line into Griffin's Bend, but he didn't. Was just wondering why he was staying on the inside for so long. Looking at the last lap time, Barnett was half a second quicker than Brunel, so there was not too much sense in letting him hang around there. But of course on this track anything can happen, so Bonchik at the moment with the quickest lap of 2 minutes 6. Dario Brems behind 2 minutes 7.9. Dosh in P3 2 minutes 8. So at the moment it almost looks like the lap times are straightened out properly. There's Cassetta Rush in P12 that is significantly quicker. Cassetta Rush in the Formula Racing League livery. But it looked like Supernatural also had a bad lap in the last lap with a 2 minutes 17, so I don't think that is a, let's say, a lap that is representing of the actual lap times. So what we can also see on the left side of your screen, now a few of the drivers, because of crashes, had to pit already and have also decided to use this as their regular pit stops. That's why they have this little green space next to their number plate. There is one mandatory pit stop in the race, so now if they fill the car up properly, they can race until the end. What I just saw here is that Cajot was catching up to Calgaro in front. His last lap was half a second quicker, so in theory in 2 laps I was 7/10. Neil still keeping the pressure up on Barnett here, looking for the outside into the chase. I don't actually know how the first kink is called. Turn 20 doesn't have a name, so chase is the actual corner that they just passed and not the little kink before. But it is possible to pass the little kink before the chase, side by side. And that usually sets you up for the inside of the chase. But now in this current weather conditions, even though the weather forecast says that it will get a little bit less rain in the next 30 minutes, it is still gonna stay wet. Burl has managed to catch up to Messina. I don't know if there was a mistake or a little crash or something happening, because Messina looks quite slow at the moment. Yeah, and that's the overtake done, so Spurl takes P1 in the M category. We're gonna take a look at the lap times in a second when they come in, because Messina's lap is also shown as invalid here, so there is quite a high chance that there was a crash, but we will know from the lap time. We're coming in, yeah, and Messina is coming straight to the pits. Yeah, you can also see the hood in the front is popped, which is a clear sign of damage, and also the side and the back are messed up, so that is unfortunately Messina losing the lead in this race for the M category. So just to specify Simone Messina, because I was about to jump to Stu Rogers, who is now already getting a bit of the smell of the exhaust of Giuseppe Messina. But in theory, if there is a I think there's enough of a 2 seconds lap difference that Stu Rogers should pass Messina quite easily here. Yeah, and this is Messina with a bit of wall contact, and that closes the gap even further. Now the tricky part is to find a place to let the quicker driver behind overtake. But from the looks of it, this will happen on Conrad Straight. I also think trying to pass before usually costs too much time. Simone Messina in the pit, coming out of the pits now, almost at the back of the grid. Not entirely, because there's still the last M driver, Giuseppe Messina, in the back, and now theoretically that would be the chance for Stu Rogers to pass if he manages to close the gap sufficiently. It's the only part of the track where actually letting someone pass makes sense. So we're gonna just take a quick look at Calgaro, how it looks here up the hill. Still no real change. Simone Messina passed Supernatural. And that looks like Rogers is completing the pass here. So I think it is time to take a look at the overall positioning. I think the gaps are almost everywhere equalized. There's still Calgaro 1 second, 1.3 seconds behind Peugeot. Could be the next battle that we're going to witness, but for now, in P1 we have Damian Gonchik as the leader of the race, also currently with a purple lap of 2 minutes 7.2. Behind him, with a gap of 15.4 seconds, we have Dario Brems. Behind him, we have Mikołaj Dosz from Poland in the green-purple. I'll call it the green-purple insect. The 4 seconds gap, currently also half a second quicker than P2, so 8 laps until we have a battle there, roughly. If both of them have the not consistency, no. Yeah, it is consistency. Oh, yeah. Sorry, in German, if you say consistency, that is not the right word. But I got confused there for a second. So then we have Marek Sperl in E4/P1 of the M drivers with a 11 seconds gap to the 2P3. Then we have Cajot, also 4 seconds behind him, a lap time slower, half a second slower than the P1 of the M drivers. Behind him we have Calgaro, 2.6 seconds in P6. Then we have, but Calgaro, last lap of Calgaro was 1 second slower, so that's probably also where the gap came from, because it was a bit smaller before. Then we have Francavilla, that is P3 for the M drivers, roughly 10 seconds behind P2 of the M drivers. Then Jack Barnett, 45 seconds behind P3 of the M drivers in P8. Then we have Tom Brunel in P9 at the moment. Simone Messina now with a repaired car after the pit stops in P10. Then we have Supernatural, who is, I think, technically speaking, no, he's not. I thought because he still has to do his pit stop, would be technically the last, but the gap to the last Messina, sorry, the third Messina on the grid is too large to matter in that case. So also another off track here. So let's see about that. Cassetto also already has done his pit stops, running in P5 of the M category, and then Stu Rogers in P13, 25 seconds behind Cassetto. Now we're still getting some green lap times in. Cajot in P2 with a 2 minute 7.6. A new personal best lap time this race. And also Francavilla with a 2 minutes 9. Now roughly half a second quicker than Barnett behind. So after almost half an hour of racing, there's just 3 minutes missing. All the gaps are equalized, and now it is about consistency and quick lap times, but consistently quick lap times. So it basically became a little bit of an endurance race here. We have another crash from Cassetto, but I think it was just a little bit of a wall contact. Let's take a closer look at the car the next time he passes a camera. For now it only looks like rain. Maybe some light damage on the left side. Not sure there. Oh, the left side actually looks fine. Generally, I think that might have just been a little bit of contact there. That car looks quite fine. Alright. Yeah, looking at the lap times, Cajot here is back on the level that he had before his little mistake there. Almost this time just half a second quicker, but anyways, catching up to Spurl. Slowly but steadily now with a 2.5 seconds gap. Oh, I'm happy to see some fans in the chat here. If you have any questions, let me know and I can try to answer them as best as I can. We are with Cajot here. Yeah, with a bit of wall contact there, but on the limit. The track has switched to damp though. That means that basically there's less water. Obviously when it's damp there's less water on the road, but it also means that the tire temperatures, the rain tire temperatures now start to matter a bit more, because it can be that basically you calculated your tire pressures wrong for the complete wet situation, and now suddenly they start to get too hot because the track is drying off. This is all stuff that you have to take into consideration when looking at the weather forecast and then deciding your pit stop strategy. / your tire pressures. Yeah, it looks a little bit like Spurl knows that he's being hunted, because now they had almost equal lap times. That was Cajot now. Still a bit quicker. Still a bit quicker, so maybe 2 more laps to go. Now, something that I can see now is that Messina here, love the cameras on Bathurst. Messina here now is 20 seconds behind Supernatural. And that means, because Schumacher, sorry, that's the team. Because Supernatural still has to pit. That means technically he's already all the way behind Messina, and Messina here is actually driving quite solid laps. Let's take a look at the statistics. That looks good to me. We also have a new quickest lap by Konchik with a 2 minutes 5.9. I'm looking for Batek, but it looks a bit like he has left the server after his crash in lap, I think it was lap 2. But technically we only have 15 drivers on the grid, so 3 have already decided to retire from the race, which is a completely natural occurrence, not just here on Bathurst, but something interesting also to see is that Dario Brems actually drove a quick, not a quicker lap time, but the last lap time was equivalent to Konchik, but Konchik has a 20 seconds lead. Also, we're jumping back to Cazaux here, because at the moment, actually, I should show Spirl when I'm saying this, but Spirl managed to improve his lap times. So at the moment, the gap between P4 and P5/P1 and P2 in the M category is not changing anymore. Francavilla here with a crash, and Casseterash as well. Let's see what happened there. Francavilla coming into sunset apparently. And losing the car on the rear there. A bit too ambitious maybe, but then also Casseterash, for no apparent reason, also crashed there. So let's see, Francavilla, how the car looks. It looks quite damaged. And that might be a premature pit stop for the P3 of the M category. That's a pity for Casseterash, because his last lap time was 2 minutes 7 and he actually started to catch up. So I just hope that there's not too much damage here. Francavilla decides to stay out on track. Take a look at Casseterash. Also here the car does not look too bad, from what I can tell at the moment. The back seems to be a bit damaged. Supernatural now coming in for his pit stop after 55 minutes of racing. Very slow driving there in the pit entrance. Usually you see the drivers taking a bit more risk. And that's the moment, as I said before, that Messina can take one position. Giuseppe Messina can take one position there. Barnett managed to build a 43. Sorry. Not even true what I was about to say. Tom Brunel is now 2 seconds behind Barnett, and I just looked at the wrong number and I was like, oh, how the hell did he manage to build a lead of 43 seconds? But that was not true. I mean, even with 15 cars on track, I should be able to keep the numbers separated, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult here. Messina with another crash. Messina with another crash. We are in the replay at the moment. Losing the rear of the car here. But also managed to get it unstuck and is moving again. Brunel in the trusted Lexus here. Last lap. Half a second quicker than Barnett. When the track is drying a bit more, then also the lap times tend to improve a little bit more, and also now it is Barnett going for the pit stop. He was roughly 1 second behind. Brunel was roughly 1 second behind him. That also looks like he crashed a bit. So we should take a look at the statistics and see how long he will stop, and then we will see if for now Brunel comes out in front of him. Even though Brunel still has to do the pit stops, and that was another wonderful shot of our cameras here at Bathurst. Zooming around the countryside. I mean, it is a beautiful countryside in reality, but here on the game the cameras are for some reason a little bit glitchy. Messina again with a broken car, and that was super close there. I think it must have been... No, that was the race leader. I'm just gonna take another look there. That's Brunel going through, and then here's the race leader in the Audi coming. Oh, holy moly, that was very close. And that is how quick it could be ending. You can see the car is completely messed up. Making a long line on the tarmac there. Front right wheel completely bent. Oh, no wonder. Yeah, like this, the car won't take the corner. I'm quite certain about that. Yeah, and that is definitely the right decision here to drive into the pits. Drive into the pits. Yes, okay, all right. I already thought that would have been a quite a mess. Ay. Struggling there with the pit entry. which is understandable if one wheel is not steering anymore, but cameras are quite confusing. So now we can go for the TV one here. Giuseppe Messina limping back to the pits, almost crab walking the car there. That drives diagonally. I don't even want to know how that feels in the steering wheel. Ay. Right behind Horacio Messina. There is Giuseppe Messina now getting his car repaired. One thing I wanted to check was how long was Barnett in the pits. Barnett was in the pits for 1 minute 40. So that could mean that Brunel gains the position there. After he does his pit stop. Jesus Christ, I think I've not spoken that much in 3 months in a row. It's not like I'm not talking to people, but and I'm not sure if we had this constellation again. Roger's now behind Barnett, trying to make his way past the M drivers because there is Cassetterage in front. Yeah, I'm not getting tired of mentioning that the passing on this hilly section here, on the hill section on Bathurst, is quite difficult for obvious reasons. I mean, you can barely fit 2 cars side by side. Yeah, and that might be the pass for Stu Rogers now here on the straight, if Barnett just lifts off a little bit. But in front there's also Supernatural coming up, the back marker. I don't think that will cause any issues directly, but the standings here are getting a bit more messy because there's people on different laps now, also blue flags. So now, yeah, this is exactly what I thought, that this pass with Supernatural would not necessarily go well, because I have seen him in the pits, and that basically is, both of them made it past Supernatural, but Rogers now still in behind Barnett. So Cachot now close the gap below 1 second to Spurl. So that is the battle for P1 in the AM category here. And we're gonna stay with that for a little bit because I don't see anything major happening. And now we're starting to see some blue flags as well, but we'll get there when we get there. But Spurl and Cajot are coming up to Messina now. That is on a different lap. Ah, okay. That is also a possibility. Cajot now pitting. No, it's Spurl pitting. Cajot staying out. Spurl now pitting, also getting some fresh tires and some fresh fuel into the car for the last 45 minutes of the race. So this is something that we're going to see in the next minutes, that a lot of drivers are going to the pits. Makes sense. It's basically the halfway mark of the race, and then we're going to see who comes out in front. So provisional P1 for Cajot until Sproul, until he pits. Well, let's see if there's something happening here. Konchik now also in the pits. Francavilla also pitting. Maybe also repairing the car. It looks a bit crumbled there. Konchik now in the pits. So that means that Dosh will take the lead in a few seconds until he pits. But I think that should be quite clearly, except there is major damage to Konchik, which I don't think there is. Simone Messina managed to pass Francavilla during the pit stops, it seems like. Brunel still not pitted yet and immediately off track, but manages to keep the car alive and together, so that might not even be a cut. So that's Cajot now pitting, and we have Brill coming down Conrad Straight. Cajot is still in the pits. Where we take this perspective and then we can see if Cajot manages to keep the position. Now on the... Yeah, both of them now moving, and this might actually be P1 for Cajot after the pit stops. Yes, that is the overtake done that we've been waiting for. Half an hour almost. More than half an hour. I'm just gonna take a look at the standing times. Pearl actually... now the time in the pits was 1 second of a difference. Now obviously Sproul with the warmer tires here in the back. The BMW there. Behind Pierre Cajot. And that of course puts a lot of pressure on Cajot. I'm gonna take a look at what position he started actually. Just to be sure, yeah, he started in P1, so it's not unreasonable to believe that he will actually also bump the microphone again. It is not unreasonable to believe that he might have the pace to drive away from that. But there's also traffic coming up. Who's coming up there? That is Barnett coming up in the Ford. But there needs to be some negotiation there under blue flag. And with the battle of the P1s in the M category going on. Okay, that's one that goes through. And that should be the second one going through any moment. And I think that is, yes. Also the negotiation with the traffic is done. And I'm still waiting for the pit stop of Doge, current P1, the provisional P1 of the race. Already on the car now for the whole race without a pit stop. I gained 3 positions in total. Less rain predicted in 30 minutes. Even less rain predicted, so the track is getting damper and damper, so to say. I think that Brunel currently running in P3, but only because he did not do his pit stop yet. And the pit stop generally would set him back. I think the regular pit stop is 1 minute. Oh, that would currently put him back into P10 in the overall standing. Look if there are some relative gaps here. Spurl and Cajot still fighting, but oh no, not even closely. 3 seconds. 3 seconds gap between P1 and P2 in the AM category. Looking at the statistics here, 1 second. I don't think there will be a leader change. I think it was who's that off track there? Messina, okay. No problem. Solved. 36 minutes and 40 seconds to go. I forgot where Dosh was. Maybe one of the viewers can tell me where he was before the pit stop of the leader. I'm not sure if he was in P2 or P3. And also don't forget to like the stream. That's always good for the algorithm. I forgot to mention that earlier. And of course it's also good for Formula Racing League. Dario Brems with a spin here, but it doesn't look like a crash, to be honest. More like maybe clipping the grass. Yeah, I think he clipped the grass there, but that at least is not significant damage. Sorry, significant damage. It's only a 6 seconds, 7 seconds time loss here. Oh, this is E2 of the AM category that missed the braking zone. At least it looks like. Yeah. That gave Barnett the chance to pass again, and then there's Brunetro getting out of the way of the provisional leader. And Cassetarash and Francavilla. Cassetarash, that looks like a damaged car there. Unfortunate. Oh, well, that's a really damaged car. Probably not a straight steering wheel as well. Francavilla also in the also in the barrier there. Yeah, and also that looks like damaged suspension, so that's another pit stop there. Assetto Corsa also now limping back to the pits. I think that was the issue with the damage. Yeah, not sure if that's not better to return to the pits there. We're behind Brahms again. Difficult. I think the time loss in the pits. Such a dangerous place. Such a dangerous place. Ay. Take a look at that. That might be quite distracting there. And both of the front tires dragging. No way that is gonna go back to the pits. Oh, risky. My heart, guys. My heart. And there's drivers coming up. Now there's the leader coming up. Oh. Sketchy. And also Supernatural in the pits again. With Messina there. I have seen at least 10 yellow flags from Supernatural already, and now I'm not sure who was responsible there for the crash with Messina, but it might be that the stewards will have to take another look at this. That is E2 passing Assetto Corsa there. What a view, that car. Ay. Front tire is dragging. Let's see. And it's just not turning. It is not turning in. Now, trying to avoid the barrier here. But shouldn't be any problem. Someone coming up from the back. That is Supernatural coming back. Brunel now in the pits. Spurl also with a yellow flag there, but maybe just a little bit off track. Now with a 14 seconds gap to the front. Brunel already through the pits. I just missed 1 minute 9 standing time there, and I think he should come out. Yes, he did come out in front of Barnett. And is now in P4 of the M category. Gosh, still not pitting. Take a look here. At Messina. Something a bit off there. That's Stu Rogers behind Messina. They are on different laps. But theoretically, Rogers is behind Messina in the overall positioning. So with half an hour to go, let's take another look at the overall positioning. So we have Mikolaj Dosh leading the race before the pit stop. So only a provisional position. Technically, he will lose about a minute in the pit stops, and that will put him into P3. So theoretically, he is in P3. Leader of the race is Konchik from the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. Now with a 28 seconds gap. And then behind we have Dario Brems with a 24-second gap in P2 for the M category. Kajo in P1 of the M category. And there's 17 seconds behind is Spirl P2. And we have Kaigaro P4 in the Pro category. And then we have Simone Messina in P3 of the M drivers. In P4 behind, 22 seconds behind him, we have Tom Brunel. And 25 seconds behind Tom, we have Francavilla. Then there's Barnett in P10. 2 Rogers, overall P11 for the Pro drivers. P5, Casseterash in the pits again. And then we have Supernatural and in P13 overall, and Messina in the last position. So now Dosh is in the pits, and I think he will come out in P3. Not sure though, because the refueling time is not fixed. But I'm not 100% sure about that. For some reason my Discord does not want to open, and I wanted to check it. There's also Brems coming up, and Dosh is moving out of the pits. Brems now passing him in the pits, but we might see a battle between Nikolai Dosh and Dario Brems at some point. Yeah, this is Dosh in P3. Although for some reason he's still shown in P2 on my screen. So 26 minutes to go of this 1.5 hour race on Bathurst here. Organized by Formula Racing League on SimGrid. It is a weekly race. I think it's 7 or 6 races. Next week will be Spa, and you're free to. I'm not even sure if the application is still open, but you can always join on SimGrid. Oh yeah, the gap between Dosh and Brems is 2.3 seconds. So let's see how Dosh manages to warm up the tire, and if there's any chance of catching Brems in this last 25 minutes. Also, overall traffic looks quite calm right now. I'm not sure if there's still enough time for Brunel to catch Messina. If he stays consistent with his speed, he's 2 seconds quicker than Messina in the front, so in 20 minutes, theoretically, there's still the chance. It is about the consistency. It looks like DOS is losing some time on P2 on Dario Brems. Also not sure if I see Horacio Messina, the pro driver, is sitting in the pit there, either still with a technical issue, but maybe also observing the other two Messinas drive. Could be that he might get disqualified if he doesn't do a pit stop. If I'm not mistaken, that should be the case if you forget to do your pit stop, because he's the last one that did not pit yet. Was Giuseppe Messina. But now there's drivers coming up to him and there's a slow car ahead, that's why I'm looking here. That was the leader of the race passing, and now there's Stu Rogers behind the leader of the race, Konchik. Maybe he's getting pulled along a little bit, but there's a 2 seconds per lap difference between the two, so I don't think there's a lot of time gain there. P3 of the pro drivers, 1 second, quite exactly 1 second slower than P2, so with the current pace he will not be able to close the 4 second gap. Francavilla again in the pits, probably because of a crash. Maybe I missed it, but that would be my assumption, because he has already done his pit stops. There would technically not be a necessity to pit again. So the finale of this seasons will be on the Nordschleife, which makes me quite excited to do the commentary for the rest of the season. Gargaro also slowly edging his way towards Burl. 7 seconds of a gap now, last lap half a second quicker. Track at the moment, I don't know how the conditions on the inside are. Still a little bit of... Jesus, this car is... the Kagaro's car is super loud. Completely forgot how loud the McLaren is on the inside. That should be Barnett coming up there as a blue flagged driver. But yeah, you can see there's still a little bit of rain. Track is still a bit damp, but it will get less and less in the next 20 minutes, and then the race is also over. So we had a full wet race basically. Yeah, but Calgaro that was another lap where he was almost more than half a second quicker than Spirl in front, so at least he could be catching the P2 of the amateur drivers. Also Brunel gained another 2 seconds last lap. Now the gap is 17.4 seconds to Messina in P7 / P3 of the amateur drivers. Always sounds like I'm a bit like it's the drivers that are there. But as I said earlier in the commentary, it is about patience and surviving here on Bathurst. So sometimes being quick is not the only thing that you need to do, and especially in this 90 minutes of racing, there is a lot that can happen. So just staying on track, not hitting the barriers is the way to go. And I can see Messina. Oh, another crash with Francavilla and Caseterash here. I don't know if they had contact. Yeah, it looks a little bit like that. That was Francavilla losing the car in front of him. So, still the tricky conditions. Maybe also Francavilla forgot to put the right tires. Yeah, this kind of looks like he got the dry tires on, and that's why he pitted a lap before and now pits again. I don't think the track is damp enough for dry tires yet. Yeah, so, what I wanted to say before, and it looks like Horacio Messina is at least watching watching the stream, because I said, you know, you would have to do his pit stops to not get disqualified. So it kind of looks like that's what he's doing now, because after 47 minutes of sitting in the pits, I don't think there's any chance to win any race, but that might have been a good hint. A good hint there. And the leader of the race, still 30 seconds ahead of P2. Those also not really gaining time on P2. But something happened here. There's Calgaro now in front of Brunel. I don't know how that happened. Maybe I missed something there. I definitely missed something there. Yeah, Calgaro maybe when he came. Yeah, I saw him coming into the pits, and now he came out. Now he is between P3 of the amateur drivers and P4. Francavilla with another yellow flag. This is frustrating. He just came out of the pits. Now that is Bathurst for you. It is taking its toll. Who is that here? That is Giuseppe Messina in front of Brunel. And behind that is P3 of the pro drivers coming through as well. So technically both of them blue flagged for Nikolai Doss. sketchy there in the back. Some sketchy overtaking there in the back. Yeah, but Brunel's making good time on Messina there. Gap now only 14 seconds and still 15 minutes to go, so lap time between 1 second and 1.5 seconds quicker than Messina. I think it's just not gonna be enough now. I mean, I'm not the best in calculating, but if nothing major happens, also there's not gonna be a change of position there, because 12 seconds off gap with 1 minute of quicker time per lap for Brunel. That's just 7 laps to go. So 7 seconds to catch up. It will not be enough. Franco Damanor, the race was 90 minutes. 90 minutes with a pit stop. Not fixed refueling time. We had 18 cars on the grid in 2 classes in the beginning of the race. At the beginning of the race, sorry. Also, my voice is getting a little bit tired. Yeah, and also the whole race was with a lot of rain. I mean, it was raining much more in the beginning. Now it was getting less and less. The track changed from damp to greasy now. Greasy. So the conditions are getting a little bit better, but there's not going to be a major change in the next 12 minutes. So we had a few crashes as well. Let's set back a few people. And I thought Horacio Messina would still come in for the pits, but it doesn't look like that. Just driving some laps, trying to get some lap times in, maybe some time on the car, on track. The leader of the race is still Doncic. Very consistently driving quick lap times, 2 minutes 6. That's roughly 1 second quicker than the competition behind. Then 40 seconds behind him we have Dario Brems. And 2.5 seconds behind Dario Brems we have Mikolaj Dos, who's now stuck behind Tom Brunel. I'm not sure he's stuck, but basically he's massively catching up to Dario Brems. That is the black car there in front, so also there must have been a little bit of a mistake. So actually in the last 10 minutes of the race we might actually still get the battle between P2 and P3 in the Pro category, which is quite surprising. But then for sure we're gonna stay here, and we're even gonna go to the passenger cam, and I'm gonna lower the volume of your audio a little bit in order not to make you scream. I just hope that that I don't forget to set it back up now, but this is basically the big finale of this race, and the last 10 minutes, the battle between P2 and P3. And Dosh with a massive overspeed here, looking for the outside, but probably for safety reason. And then there's Brunel there as a camera car behind, or as a spectator. however you want to call it, but yeah, it looks like there was a mistake by Dario Brems in the last lap because he was 3 seconds quicker, which enabled this battle here. Now we have Kaigaro coming up in front of 2 contestants. The black car in oh, sorry, not the black car in front. The car that you can see maybe at the edge there. No, that's 4 seconds. No, these are actual people racing, Franco. They're all sitting at home in their simulators, sweating and sweating. I would say sweating, yeah, but with a high pulse and full concentration. Yeah. Let's see what's happening here. Those looking for the inside. For the inside, which becomes the outside in the chase, but both of them now side by side into the little kink before the chase, and that is the position taken for DOS. Now let's see if he can manage to hold on to this position for the rest of the race, because that is quite impressive. Unfortunate for Dario Brems that he made a mistake there in the last lap, but that is fascinating. Quite fascinating. Yeah, so the game is Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's a simulator, GT3 racing simulator mainly, but there are also some other, how you call them, brands? Not really, but there's also GT4 cars and Porsche Cup cars, but the main focus is on GT3 racing. And it looks like maybe Brems sustained some damage there. I'm gonna see if I can get a proper look at the car here. Driving past, which one is the following camera? It doesn't really look damaged, but Brunel is sticking with them behind there. Brunel still 6.5 seconds away from P3. 3 more laps to go. What happened there? 1 second. Sorry, I missed that. I didn't look what was going on there, but it looked a little bit like Brems was late on the brakes and then decided to take the bumpy exit road there. Sorry, I mean, you know, you always have to assume that there's random people jumping into the stream, because of course everybody's liking the stream and then it gets recommended to them. You can join via SimGrid. On SimGrid there's a Formula Racing League, and then you can do your registration. You can get should get a track license. Sketchy again. You get a license there, and basically then you can join. I mean, now for this league the registration is already closed, but there are also other leagues also on console, for example. Dario Brems just took back the track position here from Brunel, which was surprisingly quick. Let's see what the gap. The gap to Messina is 4.9 seconds. Because Messina apparently made a mistake in the last lap. That is Simone Messina that I'm talking about. Yeah. So the biggest surprise to me, Dosh taking P2 after roughly 80 minutes of racing. And now we can see if Brunel can still push and close the 4-second gap he currently has towards Messina in front. That is not the black car that you can see. Maybe on the Conrad straight we can get get you to see the actual gap between Messina and Brunel, but I don't think it is possible. There was one view. Yeah, there, the yellow car there, that is Messina. And then again, there's Supernatural off track in the barriers, potentially. Brunel is in hunting mode, I would say. 2.8 seconds now, the gap. I think it should be 2 more laps to go, including this one. No worries, Franco. I always enjoy giving some information. Yeah, again, here you have both of them on screen. The yellow car in front is the hunted Messina. Now 3 seconds of a gap. Checking if there's anything else going on. There's still Brems behind Messina now. But now his car looks more damaged than before. Maybe I just didn't see it, but that might be the reason also why he lost P2 in the pro standing. Not sure about that. Yeah, that looks a bit sketchy there. That looks a little bit sketchy there through the S's. Brunel definitely catching up. The gap to Messina now 2 seconds, 0.3 seconds, so he is getting into punching distance. 1 more lap to go. Yeah, and it definitely looks like the car is not really drivable anymore by Dario. Or he has anticipated the battle of the two now in front of him. I don't really think so. Gap is down to 1.7 seconds. A bit of a slide there. Unfortunate. Pushing hard. Pushing hard, but that is racing on the limit. This is what it looks like. So now where's the leader? Okay. Check. Lap time of Konchik. Theoretically, the timer should not run out before he crosses the finish line. No, so there will definitely be another lap to go. Yeah, so 1 more lap to go in this race. Assetto caught up to Francavilla, who is driving in a different class, but I just got alerted by the close gap. How they are racing behind each other here. Let's hope that this goes well. James again with a yellow flag. Yeah, I think the car is damaged, but P4 in the pro category is over a minute behind, so I think this should be possible. Now we have the first cars crossing the finish line again, but we are waiting for the leader, who is still in the beginning of the lap, Konchik. Yeah, so that is the last time passing over the hill. And into the Skyline corner here into the SS on Bathurst after 90 minutes of racing. Now into almost coming up into Forest Elbow, and actually it's not called Forest Elbow because it's on the corner of the forest. It is because the one of the motorbike drivers in the past crashed there and grinded a bit of his elbow or something like this, or he hit his elbow, but then was there for the next day's racing, and that's why the corner got titled Forest Elbow. I also forgot to tell you about turn 1. That's called Hell Corner because there was a tree stump that people tend to hit their head on, but yeah, that's the Australians for you. So after 90 minutes of racing, we watched Damian Konchik cross the finish line as P1 after 19 minutes of racing. And then the next one that should be coming in. Congratulations also from the chat for Konchik. And then the next one that should be coming in is DOS, but also Marek Spirl P2 in the... Wait, what happened here? What happened here? Sorry, Messina in the last second seemed to help. Yes, Messina in the last second loses P3 for the AM drivers, and Brunel passes. Ay, what a race. What a race, sorry. What I wanted to say is Spirl already crossed the finish line in P2 for the amateur category. Now there should be DOS coming into the finish of the race. Also working his way up into P2. Then Dario Brems should be the next, but maybe we have... Oh, Dario Brems should be the next, the P3 in the pro category. So also congratulations for Brems on this difficult fight for P3, with Bathurst taking its toll. And now the next one is Kasher. I'm sorry for the Kasherks. I'm so sorry. Coming in P1 for the amateur drivers. Also congratulations. And that should have been most of the drivers. And there's the... That was 90 minutes of racing on Bathurst, organized by Formula Racing League. And we welcome you to join Formula Racing League on SimGrid, and also next week feel free to join the stream again at the same time, and that is at 8 UK time, or for me at 9 German time. I hope the commentary was fine. Enjoy your evening and see you next week. Ciao, ciao.